Well, hello everyone. Welcome again to a Nom Watch review. As you already know, it's part of Nom Talk Network, and I'm so proud to be here today. And I'm so excited for this freaking episode. We're all pumped up, and you just got a bunch of dudes who are ready to talk about some power stuff. Okay. On this show, if you already don't know, we review the latest film drop or throwback celebrating a milestone while eating and drinking our favorite movie and snacks. So I am your host, Jordyn, and right now, I have a Mighty Morphin Mai Tai. I made a Mighty Morphin Mai Tai specifically for this. So it's here. It's in a slightly rose gold pink cup because, as you already know, Pink Ranger is my favorite. And I'm also having an avocado burger because I'm from California, and some wonderful cheese fries to eat. So I'd like to introduce my guests who I've seen, known, and loved for several of my reviews that I've done. But definitely. Hi, everyone. Hi, Robert. Hi, Kenji. Hi, Jefferson. It is so awesome to see you all. Let's start with Jefferson. What are you eating? Where are you at? What are you doing?
Hey, my name is Jefferson. I am here at the G4 Studios in Burbank, California. I'm not eating anything because I am well fed right now. I already had a good lunch. My parents came over to bring the whole studio Filipino food, and I just had lumpia and a lot of meats because I'm cutting back on carbs right now for Anime Expo. But yeah,
I love it.
I'm good.
I love it. That sounds delicious. And Kenji, it's good to see you again. I'm
good
so
to
happy
see
to see you. Yes. What are you having? What are you treating yourself to? What's going on?
So I ended up eating just a second ago. I couldn't help myself. I was way too hungry, but I went and got myself a Burger Lounge burger. Absolutely delicious, Tommy Oliver style over at the Angel Grove, cafeteria.
Just like Tommy Oliver.
Got myself a burger, got myself some fries. I'm sorry, he's the superior ranger, even over the White Ranger. I'm sorry.
I hope your server was named Ernie.
Oh no, his name was Boston though. It's a nice kid though.
Well, yes, it's so good to see you. I'm happy that you're chowing down on some stuff. And then last but certainly not least, Robert, how are you?
Hey,
good to see that you have a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger shirt on.
Yeah,
you too,
what a
Jefferson.
coincidence. That's so weird.
Wow, didn't know.
I didn't know. I kind of like Kenji's like low key Tommy Oliver out of morphing mode. But I brought something for the theme of the show. I don't know if I'm going to eat any of it, but I was like, well, I want to show something. So I have this from Trader Joe's. It's like this Indian, like it tastes like curry. It's amazing. It's a bunch of crunchy stuff. And it's a snack mix. It says spicy Indian style snack mix. And boy, howdy, is it good. So that's what I brought. We'll see if I eat it. I probably will. So
you better eat it.
Yeah.
This is Nom Talk Network. You better be
fired.
Eating. Or you're fired. Jefferson, you're on thin ice. Just kidding. So today, as if you already don't know, by Robert and Jefferson's shirt and Kenji's wonderful like cosplay that's going on, but like not. We're talking about the wonderful and amazing first Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie, right? Don't let my background fool you. These are my OG friends in the back. But this film basically came out in like the second or third iteration of like the Power Rangers, like, and who they were, right? It featured Tommy, Billy, and Kimberly. But obviously Trini and Zach were different in the movie. And also, it was Adam, and then it was
Rocky.
Rocky, and then Trini too as well, who was Aisha.
It was Aisha,
yeah. And so this movie, man, oh my gosh. So I think Robert and was it Kenji? You were on my last one, or was it Jefferson? Where we did Turbo.
The Turbo one.
I wish I was there for Turbo, but I wasn't.
Okay, then it was you. I just remember, I don't know if it was you, Robert, but I remember saying that this was a way superior film than the Turbo film. I loved it better than the
still
Turbo
think
film.
that?
So, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so like as I was watching this film, like, and I remember because I had to watch it on my laptop because HBO Max wasn't working on my TV, like in the front. So I'm like sitting with my mom and I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, Mom, do you remember how obsessed with this I was? And I was like, I wanted all the toys. I wanted all this shit. And then I remember her telling me, or my dad telling me, yeah, like, sorry, we couldn't get you like all the toys. You might want to ask Santa for this. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'll ask him if he can bring them to me. And then Christmas morning, I had all the fucking Zords. I had all the Power Rangers, and it was from this movie, right?
Oh, really? Okay. Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had all the other, like I had the OG Megazord and the Thunder.
I did too.
I didn't have
I did
any
too,
of the
but, like,
movie stuff, honestly. So that's
But like when this movie came out, it was like that is exactly what I want. Like it was
Mhm.
the pinnacle, and I was 7 when this movie came out.
Mhm.
It was the pinnacle of like my childhood upbringing, right? Like I feel like I had underwear for everything. I had underwear, I had Power Ranger
Yes.
underwear, I had Power
Yo.
Ranger freaking like sheets.
The,
I had Power Ranger, yeah, go Jefferson.
the Power Ranger briefs are how I got potty trained.
Yes.
Because I didn't want to wet them. I didn't want to wet the Power Ranger.
Went from the
briefs.
White Ranger to the Yellow Ranger really fast.
You don't want to wet them. Like you don't want to wet them. Like you're gonna wet your friends, and that's terrible. That's gross, and
White
possibly
Tiger to
something.
Tiger.
Yeah, right. But so for me, like I knew going up to this film, I obviously haven't seen it since I've been that young, and then I was like, why? After doing the Turbo like review, I was like, oh God, I'm not going to expect much. But I was thoroughly surprised at like this, and like me being like younger, right? Like I was like, this was probably one of the best films I've ever seen, like as a kid. And then coming into it now, I'm like, as an adult, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like lower. I know what it is, I know what it's for. But even so, like, I think better than Turbo, this movie was. It was linear. It made sense. This is what happened. It produced one of the best villains, I think. Right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
he was funny. He was corny. He was powerful. Right? Like you know all that stuff. And we'll get into other iterations of why we're rating it and why other episodes of Power Rangers are better than this. But for me, it was such a throwback, and it was such a oh, by the way, it's 15 years, I think, right? Like 15 years is what it's celebrating. I have
Hell
to
no.
go back.
Those
Hell
30.
no.
I wish it was 15 years.
Was it 30? Okay, wait, I have to go back.
He's
But anyway,
27 years old.
thank you, Steph.
7.
It was 27. Yeah,
Is
'cause
it just
that would
30
make-
years since the show? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
because I started
22.
watching the show very young.
Next
But
year is the anniversary.
Cool.
let's go into this. What were your feelings going up to this film? How are you feeling now about it? Let's start with Robert.
I'll say when this trailer came out, and this was back when, like, you really didn't know, you didn't see a trailer till you were in the movie theater, and I was a diehard Power Ranger fan, and when that trailer popped up, it was just like this slow buildup. It was just like, if I remember correctly, I should have rewatched it. It was just like blackness, and it's just the voiceover, and it's like, this will be their hardest mission yet. And as a kid, I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about. But then they show all the helmets, and I'm like, whoa, what's happening here? I thought I came here to see Jumanji. Now it's like what movie it was, but Jumanji could have came out after. But I just remember seeing all the helmets, and I was just so mind blown that they would make a movie of this. So yeah, I was stoked as a kid. Watching it now as an adult, it's easy to pick apart a movie like this when it is aimed towards kids, and it's like, I looked at the budget, and it was $20 million budget, which I don't know if that's a lot for the 90s or not. But
Kenji says no.
Well, it was okay. It was substantial for the 20s, for the 90s for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So there was stuff that, like, I mean, if we really wanted to do a show where we're like, let's tear this apart and make fun of it, like, that would be easy to do. But there was just basically, I love Ivan Ooze. I love his performance, but the Rangers themselves were a bit corny for me. You'd have Ivan Ooze giving this like amazing, like he gave like a really good performance, and he's funny, and he like sells the jokes, and then you would cut to like Jason David Frank, and he's like, hey guys, what's going on? Like, it's like that kind of like over the top, like, hey man, yeah, and it was just like, I don't know, it didn't match for me. It felt like it was Disney Channel meets, I don't know, I guess Marvel movie nowadays. So it was a little bit, I don't know, that was a contrast there. But I think it really picked up near the end more for me. Like once they start getting the ninja powers and actually start fighting, that's when I was starting to really enjoy it. I realized that they only morph twice in the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
First fight and then the last fight, and they immediately jump in their Zords. So that was kind of like whatever. I still to this day, maybe you guys can explain. I don't understand the point of the ninja powers. Is that just fighting with half power?
Here comes Jefferson.
Yeah, please.
So do you want the behind the scenes answer or
Well, I know the real answer is like toys, but I'd be interested if there's
technically yes and no.
Okay.
They ran out of Zyuranger footage. Zyuranger was the dinosaur Sentai that Power Rangers Mighty Morphin was based on.
Mm-hmm.
They went straight to Thunder Zords, which was Gosei Sentai Dairanger. And then right after that was Kaku Ranger, which was the ninja theme.
Mm-hmm.
Kenji, that's a badass season, wasn't it? Okay.
Kenji is like freaking out right now.
Kaku Ranger was that was when they didn't want to leave the dinosaur suits yet because they were so iconic. They just want to adapt the elements of a Sentai season. And so that's why they were like, well, I guess the Thunder Zords were destroyed. The ninja powers.
Yeah. But as far as story goes, I know that the ninja powers, that some of them had unique abilities.
Yeah. They were made by so hold on. That's something that I'll talk about later, but they were made by Ninjor in the show, and Ninjor was the creator of the power coins.
Right.
Who was taught to make them by the Morphin Masters.
Right. Oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah, no, he's right. Because I always thought, watching the show, I'm like, why don't you just straight up morph all the way? Why are we doing a ninja thing, first? But I don't know. It's just a curiosity thing. I did. Speaking of the Zords, the Thunder Zords, I was kind of laughing. So this is after Ivanus destroys the command center, and Zordon's like laying there. Which, by the way, that's another thing. Is he in a time warp or not? Like Billy says something where it's like, oh no, he's not in the time warp. He's dying. And I'm like, what? Is that how time warps work? Like, so that's not what I'm bringing up. There's a part. So you see him destroy the command center, and then the Rangers are there, and they're all sad, and he's like Ivanus came and destroyed, the command center, and the power coins and the Zords. And I wanted to be like, are you sure about the Zord part? Like, I think the Zords are still here. It's like, no. He destroyed them too. I'm like, I don't know. Gone. I think they're still there. Like, no, they're gone. They're gone. You got to find new ones.
Just trust me on this one. They're really gone.
Wow.
They're really gone.
Alpha's like, aye, trust me, bro.
I know. Like, wow, he destroyed your optimism too. Jeez.
So before I go to Jefferson for what's happening, Q's in the chat. Hi Q, we miss you. You're always here. We love you. He says he's a good old school peanut butter sandwich. I'm drinking a cheap version of Dr. Pepper called Dr. Thunder. Thunder Zords. Q says, wow, I just spit everywhere. That's lovely. Q says, am I the only one who had a huge crush on Amy Jo Johnson, aka the Pink Ranger?
Only one.
That's terrible. Really?
Person.
The only person.
She's like one of the. It's like her and Topanga. Those were like the two crushes.
I mean, even the British replacement that they got for her.
Oh yeah,
still like really over her.
Yeah. And then he also says, well, I think the movie is more well made than the series. I'm assuming it's the American series, because he said the story is a hell of a lot better. It wasn't as campy like the series is, which I kind of have to agree with, because it's been on, I think it's on Netflix or Hulu, and I started watching it because I was like, you know what, I want to relive my childhood, and I'm watching it and I'm like, this is shit. And I'm like, and I feel like the movie, obviously, because there's more of a budget to, make a movie with, it felt like it enveloped me more in like the fantasy of it, and it was just like, this is better. I don't know. It just made me feel like that. But let's go to Jefferson. What were your initial thoughts? What do you think now about this film?
Let me set the scene real quick. I'm gonna take you back to 1995. I'm the
Silly.
most spoiled brat kid in the world. My parents tell me that the Power Rangers movie is playing in a theater nearby, and we were like just trying to decide like what I should wear, and I had this life-size, I mean like sort of life-size Power Ranger doll that had removable costume with it, and so we were like, can I fit in this? So we removed it. So just imagine like a Red Ranger Barbie doll that's about the size as a little kid, and it's being stripped away from its powers and being transferred to me. So we go to the theater, and I walk out of the car. I'm just like like doing like a cool guy slow-mo walk, and every kid in line in the theater was crying, looking at me, because they were so jealous at how awesome I fucking looked. They were yelling to their parents. This is not from memory, of course, because I was a fetus. My parents told me this is exactly what happened, but we do have pictures of me wearing this at the theater, or up in the vicinity of the theater, and I feel like that the hype for this movie for me was exactly what my hype would have been if I was watching The Dark Knight in a Robin costume in this day and age.
Yeah.
This was the biggest movie of my entire life at the time. Coming as a huge fan of Power Rangers as a kid, and it didn't disappoint. I got what I wanted. I got a whole ass 90-minute adventure with a new villain, technically new powers because the ninja powers weren't on TV yet for me at the time. And they had armor? How the fuck? When did that happen? The armor was the biggest like selling point for me because that was unprecedented. Because coming from Japan, I knew what Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger was. None of that shit showed up in Super Sentai. None of that. Like, it was all original footage, and that was like the big thing for me. Like, I was watching a Power Rangers property without stock footage.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of that, the no stock footage part. And yeah, I'd agree. Like, the armor thing was a standout.
Yeah.
You know, that they just like looked. You know, it was funny watching it now, and you can kind of see the armor in more detail with like adult eyes. But I remember, as a kid being like, "Whoa, they look different somehow. They just look cooler."
They do.
Yeah.
I want
Each of them had like
action figures of these figures.
They all had their own like unique abilities too. Like Aisha had the eyes that lit up on the helmet.
Yep.
Rocky had the infrared sensor.
What was it? For some reason, Billy had like a Stega Stinger, which was named after a Stegosaurus, and it's like, why?
Yeah. Well, that was one part. He like was it Billy that did it? Yeah, he like shot a Batman like
the Stega Stinger.
But it was like coming out diagonally, and he's just like clearly on a wire. I thought that was just funny.
Oh my gosh. So Kenji, what did you think coming into this film? What are your thoughts about it now?
So I was kind of like on the same page as Jefferson. You know, like I was very fortunate growing up as a kid that I got to see Kyoryu Sentai Jurenja, Gosei Sentai Dairenja, and Ninja Sentai Kakurenja. Like I got to see all these characters. So for me, it was really interesting kind of seeing how they handled certain villains in the American property compared to how they would in the Japanese version, because obviously like sometimes they just outright had to like change the characters like MO, because like in the Japanese version it's like, oh no, he like actually eats children, so it's like, okay, we can't have that. We can't have that be the characters.
I remember Rita turned children into a forest and that forest was about to get chopped down.
Yes,
so, you can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Like so things like that they had to obviously change. So like, but I was right there, like to suddenly see like, that we were getting these newer Zords and these newer abilities. Obviously, like at that point, I think we also started seeing like, we hadn't seen the Alien Rangers yet. I don't think yet.
We didn't.
No, we hadn't yet, but those were the Kaku Rangers. But yeah, like to see, like finally see like an actual take on these characters where it's not like reused costumes. It was like brand new footage. It was like, for me as a kid, like it was like, this is what you kind of imagined what the Power Rangers were supposed to be in a way. Like, you know, they're in these power suits, like the armor looked fantastic. You know, like I would say, like even as a kid, like watching like just the way that the chest pieces worked. I mean, they even had like the big emblems in the center of the chests and stuff. Like it looked fantastic. Like I was hyped for it. Like as a kid, I think we saw it was like for my friend's birthday. It was like I think I was like 4, he was 5 or something like that, and we were like. You know, it was like that was like the movie that everyone went to go see for their birthday. You know, like you got your little tray of popcorn with the little box of M&Ms, small soda that just does not last till the end of the movie. But it was, but I remember just as a kid really having a great time watching it. I remember I got to rewatch it with my younger sisters because when they started getting to that age where they could start handling that kind of stuff, I remember I kind of went into the cupboard and I kind of dusted it off the VHS, and I was like, I got to show you something really cool, because right around that point they started watching, like, I think it became Ninja Storm in America.
Yeah,
that's what it was called. But
yeah.
like basically that version was becoming really popular in Japan, so they were starting to watch that. So I was like, no, we need to take you back. Let me take you back. Let me show you the good stuff. So I've been able to share this with my sisters too. So, you know, and I'm sure they enjoyed it as well. Obviously, the writing isn't fantastic, but I will say that the villains were extremely memorable. I loved the Tengu Warriors. I feel like there was one villain in that movie that's only in that movie. It was like one
right?
of the, one of the little henchmen. Like I really wanted to see more of him. Like I was really hoping they would bring him more into the rest of the series. But yeah, like I don't know. It's weird. I have nothing but like smiles thinking about this movie. I don't feel like there's any bad memory associated with this movie whatsoever. That's kind of where I stand about it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So before I get to my comment, Q says, you got to say almost every metal guitar player covered the theme song on YouTube, which is amazing.
Yes, they did.
And then we have Eva Mansions Art say, I agree, Kenji, with what you were saying. For me, it was almost, I totally forgot what I was going to say. It like flew out because I read somebody. I think like, okay, so I'm going to just talk LGBTQ plus for a minute. When we talk about gay awakenings, I feel like Tommy and even Rocky and Adam were mine, because I was like obsessed with this, right? And I was like Pink Ranger all the way. But then I was like, something about these guys is like, and right, like at 7, you're like, you're not really, you don't know, right? Like you're just kind of exploring, doing all that stuff. But I just remember being like, no, yeah, the White Ranger's cool, but I like the Pink Ranger. She's great. And then like being like, oh, like there's like a little secret behind this. And I think, but also for me too, I think I was just obsessed with the fantasy of being a Power Ranger, right? Like, I don't know which one it was, but I remember specifically asking, it was the one where it was like a gun, and like they all made a huge gun from their weapons. Yeah. And I remember the Pink
Rangers narrow it down,
like,
just so you know.
Yeah, I know, right? It was like the Pink Rangers had a shield. The Pink Rangers was a shield, and I remember it was like right here. Zio. But I had I had all of them, and I made the gun. But I also had Sava too. Like I had, and like you would open the mouth, and it would like play like a.
I had like 2
Power Rangers.
Yeah,
and then like the sword would extend.
Yeah, if you like whip it, like.
Yeah. And I just remember being so entranced by the fact that this was something that I wanted to be and wanted to do. Yeah. I think I told you this, Robert, and I told the people that did Turbo, but I ran into Skull at Universal Studios.
This.
Yeah, and like took a picture with him. It's somewhere in my closet. Like I have the picture somewhere.
I would love to.
Oh my gosh, like he was like the sweetest dude. Like he was like, my dad went up to him and was like, hey, my son really loves Power Rangers. Like he loves all of you. The guy was the sweetest guy. He was like, absolutely. He was like,
let's take a picture. He's one of the best actors on the show too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you look him up, he's like serious actor. Like if you really look into like what he's he's like, I think he's like from theater but he plays a silly character so well. I would love to see, huh?
He's a theater professor.
Yeah, I would love to.
That's insane.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I want to throw this guy in like a heavy drama, not Power Ranger related movie, and I'm like, see what he can do. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So he's the new reboot Kingpin.
Yeah, right. Yeah, throw him in something like that.
I know you all have a lot to say about the story, and especially related to the series. So let's talk about the story, right? I think that for me, the story was linear. It made sense, right? It wasn't, I would say, as clear as it probably should have needed to be. It was like, how was, geez, I forgot her name already. The woman on Phaedos.
Oh God, what was her name again? Hold on, it's right there. Dulcia.
Thank you. How does Dulcia know Zordon? How, right? Like, it was never like said, and they're just like, okay, we'll trust you, and then just like,
everyone knows Zordon. Like,
right, but then it's like, how? Like, how
you try to get into a club, and they're like, sorry, we can't let you in. No Zordon. You know Zordon?
Yes,
come on in.
Right. And I think for the story, for me, there was like a couple of instances where I was like, how? But then at the end of the day, I was like, everything makes sense. Why is Ivan Ooze this powerful? The world may never know. Yeah. But
that's why I felt bad, like picking out stuff. Like, this is not that kind of movie to do that.
Right.
Like for instance, how much do you have to skydive before you can skydive by yourself without someone attached to you? Because they all do, including Bulk and Skull. So they all must skydive all the time.
Was it like 4 or 5 or something like that?
I don't
know.
I
remember. Yeah. But what if we all...
must be nothing to them because they jump off of their giant Zords all the time. So
they're just whatever.
Like whatever.
We'll land.
I don't even need a parachute.
Always on their feet.
Yeah.
Before I get to Kenji about the story, Q says also Amy Jo Johnson is an underrated musician and singer / songwriter too. She has her own music too. Her voice is amazing. Camille Kayleen says Jeff always coming in with the facts. So Kenji, what did we think about the story as compared to other iterations of Power Rangers?
So, like, as far as like, like a lot of the movies like that would happen. Like I keep comparing it to the Japanese ones, but a lot of the like the Sentai series in Japan, like those movies, a lot of times like you had like your solo adventures of like the Power Rangers of those main Rangers, but always at some point for the third act and the final climax of the story, the old Rangers come back usually. So like that's always so just knowing that wasn't going to happen. Well, I mean, I know not always. They usually have like I don't know which. I just remember like as a kid, like it happened a lot with Jetman. There was a lot of crossovers with that one. Not with Jew Ranger specifically, but I know that like. But for me particularly, like these movies, this movie in particular had the like just the story was something that I felt like it wasn't just kind of like it made the kids feel like they could do something too. Because remember, there's that which one, the kid that ends up getting whose dad ends up getting shocked by the ooze and he's the one that's like tells all the kids like our parents are gonna die, man. We gotta save them. We're gonna jump off the edge of this rock quarry.
Okay. Can we talk about that really quick? How they were at like a freaking diner, like drugged up on ooze. Can we talk about that?
I noticed that they were all like tripping out.
And also, I'm like, are you drinking this shit? Like, what's going on?
That kid actor never went on to do Power Rangers though, right?
No.
I wondered that. I was like, that'd be kind of cool if because at the end he's like, I think you could be a Ranger. He's like, nah, that's impossible. And then we had to find out he's right. It is. I guess.
Well, I mean, there was that whole thing with, I think, wasn't it like the next movie? The next movie after that was Turbo, wasn't it? And then that's when they introduced the kid Justin as the Blue Ranger.
He would have been the perfect, if it was, fast enough for that movie to come out, he would have been perfect as like, clearly that kid should be the new Ranger.
movie was canon, I would agree, but this movie is mega not canon.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
Super mega not canon.
I also know that I really love the fact that we got to see just the command center looking all jazzy and stuff like that. I love that we got to see. Yeah, the budget was much better, but
Zordon was like a Ghostbuster ghost.
Yeah. I loved the idea of them going to a different planet, because I feel like we really didn't get a chance to do that really in the main series. So to see them on this new planet was phenomenal. I remember Amy Jo Johnson was my childhood crush for the longest time, but then Dulcea showed up in a very interesting costume, and then suddenly I suddenly had two crushes on the screen.
That's funny.
Leave it to men and masculinity to fucking put a woman in a bra and a freaking like a tank, like a thong, if you will, and then in the back, what is a suggestion of cloth, fighting these wonderful, these.
I wish anyway, sorry, Zordon. I wish they asked Zordon if he remembered her, and then he's like, "Oh, what did she say? Did she mention me? What did she say? Like, what? I'm just curious. Like,
terrible.
I'm just curious.
Terrible.
I'm waiting for the Power Rangers comics to name drop Dulcea, because they are going backwards to when Zordon was a ranger at the time.
Yeah.
The Altarian War happened. Lord Zed and him were partners before. I'm just waiting for Dulcea to just show up at some point for some reason.
Yeah.
The fact that, I will say that the fact that there are some things that happen in this, the fact that it's like a Dragon Ball Z movie, other than Super Broly, none of this is canon.
We need Justin Chatwin in the movie, is what you're saying.
Fuck no.
I'm sorry.
but I would say I loved this was kind of in a way though, this was kind of a fresh take on the Rangers in a way, because they didn't have the stock footage to rely on. They didn't have a villain to rely on that they could be oh, there's this person. There may be the equivalent probably somewhere in the Japanese Sentai universe. There's a villain similar to Ooze, but as far as I was concerned as a kid, this was something new and original, and I liked that extent of it, and it's easy to understand. I think the movie's only just shy of an hour and a half.
Yeah, it is.
So it's pretty short.
It's cool that they did pick kind of an Ivan Ooze, an Ooze theme. They could have easily just did a dark wizard, or something that shoots lightning. But they went really
so in.
Yeah,
was so in.
He does look looks like Grandpa Munster in a way, but man, he's just he's so fun. And he's just such a good actor. He took all those lines. I forgot there was one line. I think it was the check out my kids or whatever. And I'm sure that line was just check out my kids, but he sold it in such a way where it made me laugh out loud. I'm like, oh man, this guy is having fun with this character.
He really is.
The other one I also loved was when the Tengu Warriors go, "You want us to take another stab at it? How about you take another crack at it?"
All the things I've missed: the Black Plague, the Spanish Inquisition, the Brady Bunch reunion.
Yes.
I think he was just a fun character, and that was my thing, where it was you wanted to hate him, but at the same time it was you're fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
I kind of want to laugh with you, but then at the same time don't.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact that he put the ultimate Rita Repulsa and Lord Zed in a fucking snow globe, and you're oh, this guy means business, right? Those were the main villains for the longest time.
Right.
Rita was the first, and then Lord Zed comes in, and then you have this guy who's just oh, I'm just gonna put you in a snow globe real quick, and then I'm so happy they included Goldar, right? Goldar is
he scrunched his head a little bit for the movie.
They did. They were
bushy head.
He was
bushy head Goldar.
Oh well, I never really liked him anyway. And you're okay, well, And then last one, Jefferson, what did you wait? Did we go to you? Oh no, we didn't. So story. How does it relate? I was sorry, I'm thinking about the other question. But what did you think about the story? How does it relate to other Power Rangers iterations? How do you feel?
I guess like watching it now, I don't. I wish this was explored more. Like, why this pig? Where did the fucking pig come from? Who is Morgan?
Why this
What the fuck is
pig?
Morden?
That's what I want the quote to be.
And why
this
don't you have a British accent with your
Why
monocle?
did it have a British accent?
What's
Did it
going
have-
on?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. Like, there's so many things weird about this movie that just make it sort of like the show, but then why? Where is Ninjor? Where are the ninja powers really from? What is Phaedos? Mordant? What?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, dude, like, there's so many like creative liberties that don't make sense. That were just like, that just feel shoehorned in.
We didn't really get to see any of their weapons either, I noticed. Except for
That's
Zaba.
true.
Which I thought there was a funny part where the White Ranger throws Zaba to like cut the chain for the weight to fall. But I'm thinking it's a sword. It's gonna cut the chain, but no, it stops. And then he shoots a laser, and I'm like, a sword, like just chop it off. Like, I just thought that was a funny moment.
By the way, for those of you who are just tuning in, we're talking about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and are currently discussing the story, how it relates to other iterations of Power Rangers. And Jefferson was continuing his thing and saying that it kind of went off in like some weird tangents that were kind of odd, right?
Yeah, like I loved how the ninja suits looked here more than the TV show. The TV show, they look like fucking blankets on humans. But this one, they look really good. I liked the hood. I liked the mouth guard, eyes, end it there. I don't want a hood over. It's so problematic when the action figure for Tommy is a white hooded.
Oh shit!
Is a white hooded man.
Yeah.
With just eyes right here. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I will. It is weird. Like the movie, they don't have masks. They don't have the eye mask. They have the mask. They have the headband, and they have the hood.
So cool.
But
I dig
which
that.
looks great. Yeah, it looks great. But then for some reason, for the TV, you're absolutely right. For the TV show, I guess to hide some of the stunt performers.
Yeah, it had to have been. Yeah,
it had to have been the only reason why. But yeah, they basically made it like. It's almost like it basically looks like someone just took like a scarf and went with like a
California heat.
If Zach got the ninja powers, if Zach got ninja powers,
would be the California heat to be Australia.
It's giving Mad Max vibes in the other one.
I'd be like, can I get some Morphin shorts Zordon or something like hot.
Summertime Zordon is just him and
summertime Zordon.
He's just got a full 6-pack and he's just
he's like actually I just found this out. Fun fact. Did you know that originally when they filmed this or when they filmed this, the Power Rangers didn't have their visors on and it was just like their hood. Yeah,
really?
I think because they wanted to show emotion, like when they were fighting and when they were like, doing this thing.
The director Brian Spicer wanted like the actors to evoke while they were in the suits, and so all the pictures of them without the visor and the mouth plates are just like all the actors just looking really frowning, like frowny face, and like why the? They're just like.
And then finally they were just like, put him back in. It's fine. Put him back in. But they had to reshoot everything that they had already shot.
Release and I want to see at least one scene.
Yeah,
that's so cool. Weird how that was even a decision at the beginning. Like seeing Tommy's helmet in particular without visors or a mouthpiece was so weird because it's just a giant square. How do you expect Jason David Frank to just like to just talk through a fucking square?
It's like most of them have the little point right here, so they'll be like
right.
You know what I mean?
My favorite was when Amy Jo Johnson's helmet was like here, so her eyes were like.
Did they flatten her chin specifically? Amy Jo Johnson. I felt like or has the Pink Ranger helmet always been like that? I just remember
a little bit smaller.
Yeah,
I feel like in here.
Yeah. Camille Kayleen says, "When are we getting a summertime Zordon action figure? When are we doing that?
Summertime Zordon.
Let's do it."
You know, did you guys ever check out that AI art? It's called like Mid Journey or whatever. Have you heard of it yet? basically you type in whatever you want, and it.
Oh,
This is related. I promise.
I have the app. It's called Dream. It's called
That's
like the
I
Dream
think
app.
that's a different one. There's one that's like you have to get into beta and whatever. And I got in, and I told it to create Evil Zordon, and I posted on Twitter, and it looks really scary, like an Evil Zordon. I'm like, an Evil Zordon storyline would be kind of awesome.
It might be, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was just so weird.
Yeah. So we've talked about the story. We've talked about how it relates to other areas of it. What did we think about them doing a movie without the original cast, right? With this new sort of like new up and coming, right? Like so we have Adam, we have Aisha, and then we have oh my gosh, who's the other one? Yeah, we have Rocky, right? Like we have these new, when to be fair, like I followed from day one up until this point, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'm in with this movie. I'm in doing all this stuff. But then when I watched it recently, I was like, oh, they're not, the original cast isn't in it, right? I feel like it worked. I feel like it worked for this film. Because you're right. When it went to Turbo, it was like almost a whole brand new cast.
Right.
With
Rocky
like
broke his
people
back and whatever. Yeah.
Right. And then he's like, I'm in a hospital bed, and then you have to take over being the Blue Ranger.
Yeah.
And Rocky wasn't the Blue Ranger. Like he was the Red Ranger, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Wait. Were you talking about
No.
Turbo?
He was the blue because he's coming from Zeo. He would have been blue.
Zeo, yes. Zeo, Rocky was blue, and then for Turbo, he would have been blue if Justin didn't show up.
I know. He grabbed the nearest 12-year-old and he's like, "You got to be a Power Ranger now." It's like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Exactly what
It's an art project I have to turn in. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did we feel about like the casting and like with the characters from the original to now, or to like this movie? Did we feel like it worked? Did we feel like it didn't work? Let's start with Kenji.
So I was really lucky as a kid. I actually got to do the meetup with the Rangers and the cast at Universal Studios way back when. It was nuts because it was basic. Essentially, I forgot exactly what happened. I remember we gone into Universal Studios ish area, and there was just a bunch of people lined up, ready to get in. And the second the doors opened up, it was just a wave of people just trying to get in. Like, I distinctly remember my dad carrying me with one arm as he was sprinting, with my mom following closely behind. I just remember just this wall of people just moving around.
So were they at the City Walk stage, like that's out there now?
No. It was actually in a real indoor stage, like an actual like multiple tiers and stuff. Like it was indoors. I remember like I know we still have a camcorder video of this somewhere, because I remember I saw it and I lost my mind the other day.
Upload it.
Yeah, I've always been fascinated about that.
No one has enough footage of that night.
Yeah.
No one has enough footage of that.
They don't. I've looked. I've been so fascinated about that.
We did the whole thing. Like it was oddly enough, I was one of the few people whose parents actually stuck around, because the whole thing was like, you met the cast, they did all the stuff, they showed off a few things, they took some Q&As from the crowd, and then they're like, we gotta go later. And then at the very end, Bulk and Skull show up.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Saying they're the real heroes of the show. So, and then they do like this whole like improvised fight scene, but right before they start fighting, they're running at each other. They go, "Ah! Don't try this at home." And then they start doing this whole thing, and then they get escorted off the stage by security. But right around that time, that's when like moms and dads were like, okay, it's time to go. And they were leaving. And I was like, no, we gotta stay and watch the whole thing.
That's so cool. So did you have to, I'm curious about even technical stuff. Did you have to like buy tickets to this event? Was this something planned?
I'm assuming my parents bought the tickets for it. Like I said, I was small enough that my dad could carry me with one arm, to sprint with this stuff. So I got the opportunity to meet the original cast, but oddly, for some reason though, as a kid, I know as an adult, I'm going when you hear about things and you hear about the recast, you're like, it's a shame that the original cast couldn't come back. But even as a kid, I was kind of going like, I honestly didn't even notice. It probably maybe I noticed it like for like the first minute. I was like, oh, I recognize that ranger. I recognize that ranger. I recognize. I don't know what color you are. I don't know what color you are, and I don't know what color you are. So like it was interesting in that regard, but oddly enough, like I quickly kind of like picked up, and I remember that was actually weirdly the movie that made me kind of go. Like the Black Ranger kind of became one of my faves because up until that point, it was always like if you were in the schoolyard, it was either the Red Ranger or the Green Ranger. Those were the go-tos that the kids always wanted, that the guys always wanted to be. But
Nobody wanted to be blue.
Nobody wanted to be blue. But of course, which is hilarious because if you actually watch freaking the movie, you realize Billy's got some guns.
Yo,
he's
David
jacked.
Yost was ripped. They kept putting him in the baggiest clothes, Oshkosh bagashes, and it's like they were hiding his muscles.
Yeah, he goes by David
finally
Yost
for the movie,
Really,
like,
Jefferson?
we're gonna put you in your overalls, like
Oshkosh bagash.
This time, we're gonna just make sure that you have a tank top underneath, no baggy t-shirt. We're gonna go full tank top for you, and like and you see him do those back handsprings. He like sprints past the freaking screen.
Who was yoked?
You're fucking in
David,
Old Navy
David
shit.
Yoked.
Like,
It was hilarious, but that was the thing. Like up until that point, it was like I also liked, I started watching Kaka Ranger, and I really liked the Black Ranger in that series because he was the one that spoke English.
That's Sasuke?
That was Sasuke. He spoke English, and because of that, I was like, he was a cowboy on rollerblades. Like that was his whole way he got introduced. Like so, and he spoke English, and because of that, like all of my Japanese friends were like, "Well, Kenji, you speak English, so you're the Black Ranger." And I was like, "Yo, I totally dig this." Like,
you're like,
I love the character. And then of course, when this movie came out, it turns out it's the Frog Zord. I was like, yes, this is exactly my dude. Like I am so stoked for this. So like, and of course it turns out it's Johnny Young Bosch. Is that how you pronounce it?
Johnny Young
I'm probably right. Yeah, he's also he's a mixed he's a mixed Asian kid as well. So like there was kind of like this cool thing of like it was in a weird early representation sort of kind of way of looking at it too.
About that real quick, if we were gonna already swap around the Ranger colors, Adam exuded more Red Ranger energy than Rocky. He should have been
I wanted
red.
to get into that.
Absolutely should have been the leader. Should have been the leader of the team.
And so in the show, when they decided that the White Ranger was the leader, which I don't know why they did that, but because I felt like you could have had the Red stay the leader and just have this cool Super Ranger, but anyway, I felt like the Red Ranger started to like deteriorate a bit. Like he was just like, I'm just another Ranger now. So that because the Red Ranger is my favorite. And so it just felt like he was just like another Ranger. But yeah, I totally agree. Like Adam had that, like, I felt like he had more leadership qualities than Rocky did. Rocky just felt like he put on the suit like anyone.
Better fighter.
Yeah.
I can remember more Adam episodes than I can Rocky episodes.
Yeah, I even remember it might have been Power Rangers in Space where he came back. Yeah, and it was like it was like a cracked power coin, and Alpha 5 was like, "No, you can't do that because you'll die." I don't know something, and he's like, "I don't care, Mastodon." And I'm
glad he eventually got to lead his own team in Operation Overdrive. Adam came back one more time.
No way, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Look up the episode if. It's Operation Overdrive, once a Ranger, and Adam led his own team of Rangers, comprised of 4 retro Rangers from the Disney era.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you see Adam like actually shine to me.
That's cool. Yeah.
So just to point out, Kenji, it was at the Globe Theater, which isn't at Universal Studios anymore.
Yeah.
It's now the Secret Life of Pets ride. But yeah, it was probably at the Globe Theater where I actually had my junior prom at, which is a long time ago. And then Johnny Young Bosch is now a voice actor with a band called I Shine.
I Shine.
Didn't know that.
I still listen to that.
Thanks, producer Steph. She's filling us in with all the facts. So I mean, I think what did we think about casting? We'll do it really quick. Let's do Jefferson first. Do we think this casting fit? Like, I know we've already talked about Adam and how he should have been a top dog, right?
Yeah,
Like he should have been
should've.
Red Ranger. How did we think in this film the casting worked?
As a kid, like I just thought like I knew what the MO was. I know that this was Power Rangers was a TV show with continuity. So when I saw the movie, I was like, oh, I guess I missed an episode.
Mhm.
I guess I just missed an episode of the show. I accepted it. I still missed the OGs, but like I was gonna like just assume that this is just gonna be a thing that's gonna happen eventually because I wanted the show to go on forever, and I kind of already knew that like, well, these characters can't be the same Rangers all the time.
Yeah.
So like I accepted it really early on. Also, that just meant more people can just take the powers.
Sure.
More people
Sure.
can
Okay.
yeah.
I forgot this, and I always freaking forget this, and I hate it. Popcorn bucket ratings, 1 to 5. Go, Kenji first. Go.
As a child, I thought it was a 4, but now as an adult, I think it's a 2.
Great, Jefferson. Go.
As a kid, it was a super mega 5. As a dude, right now, it's a 2. I'm sorry.
Okay.
2.
And then Robert.
Yeah, definitely a 5 as a kid. 2 now for sure.
Yeah, I think I was a 5 as a kid, and I'm a 3 now. I think I have like the highest out of.
Is it weird that I still like it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just
Don't
not
let that
like
fool you.
It's like baby's first Indiana Jones mixed with
baby's first.
baby's first Indiana Jones.
Baby's first action movie for sure. Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Before I get to Robert about casting, here's my perspective on this. If you were not a Power Rangers fan and you were like, I want to go see the movie just to see what it was about, do you feel like this was an accurate representation of what the American version of Power Rangers was? Right? I feel like if I was not a fan and I took somebody who was, or if I was a fan and I took somebody who wasn't a fan and like go see this, and especially since I was like 7 or 8, like play dates or whatever, I feel like this would get them into it. Do you know what I mean? Because they'd like be into it. They'd be all about it. They'd be like, oh yeah, like this Ranger was my favorite because they had this droid, or they had this Zord, and they had like all this stuff, and all that. And so I feel like it was moderately an accurate representation of like what was going on. I also feel like if they saw this and then saw like this series, they'd be like, what the fuck is this shit? Right? Like it would just be like a weird, like it would be like a weird night and day. So that's what I always think about like when I watch something that I liked as a kid. I'm like, would somebody who would watch it who was my age back then enjoy it? And I feel like they would. So Robert, let's go to you. How did you feel like the casting did? How did you feel like it worked?
I none of the cast really did any thing wrong for me. I do like everyone. I do wonder, and this could be because my favorite's Jason. I wonder how Jason would have handled certain things over Rocky. I don't know. I felt like there was like a moment where I think Yellow Ranger was trapped in like this little rock like tunnel, and like the guy was trying to stab her. This was like when they had the ninja powers, and the way that Rocky saves her is he kicks the dude into it more with his damn spear, and I'm like, that's such a Rocky move. Jason would have never done that. Jason would have found a way to pull him away. It's like, come on, Rocky. He's hanging from the cliff. Please help me. I'm like, you're the Red Ranger. You help other people.
I feel like if Jason was here, he would have butted heads with Tommy more. I think that there would have been more red Oni, blue Oni dynamics with them too in this movie.
I think kind of cool.
It kind of happened in Zeo, and that's why I love Zeo when Jason came back as the Gold Ranger and Tommy was red. There was a bit of like, they weren't like complete rivals, but there was definitely like a power dynamic there. I feel like this movie could have sowed the seeds for something stronger if Jason was here.
Do you blame Jason though? Because when Tommy became the leader, Zordon drops him down from the heavens into the command center, takes off his helmet, and then Tommy looks right at Jason, and Zordon's like, this is the new leader. It's like what a damn smirk on his face. If I was Jason, I'd be like, oh, is that?
Yeah.
Is that so? Oh, where's my shield? Where's my chest plate? Clearly you can make them. It was just so weird. The new guy gets to be the leader.
Tommy should have came back when the power transfer happened.
Right. It's like, this guy tried to kill us. He tried to murder all of us, and including you. I would have had some things to say.
Oh yeah, no, same.
Yeah.
But yeah, the
Definitely.
casting was fine. And even to say quickly, like I think a kid would like this too. I'm a big fan of the suits, like the Megazord suits, more than because I felt like the ending fight it felt like it was straight out of the show reboot a little bit. But
with the really
Oh my
bad
God,
CGI.
the Megazord
Yeah.
fight. We didn't even talk about the Megazord fight. How that
Yeah.
CGI did not stand the test of time.
yeah, but
It's terrible. It was terrible. I watched it and I was like, the fuck? Like, this
Yeah.
is not
Yeah,
what I
even for
remember.
its time, it was bad CGI.
yeah.
So
Terrible.
And
And then-
Ooze
and
was
then-
giving
and
me
then-
some Freddy Krueger vibes, like his
Yes.
transformation. It was kind of I like that, but it gave me some.
And then
Freddy
the fact that he was defeated not only by a kick to the crotch, a knee to the crotch, but a comet, which I'm like, that does not logically make sense because we would have also been killed, like
Right.
by the explosion of a fucking celestial, like it just,
Yeah. You know what I did like that I didn't notice as a kid? It's always been the Red Leader, White Ranger leader, but in the Megazord, Pink Ranger's front and center. And I was like, that's
Hell
cool.
yeah.
And I know it's because
Hell
like
fucking
her Zord is like the head, so it makes sense. But still, like
Yeah.
they could have easily been like, no, let's push her to the side again. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, I kind of like that. I think that's cool.
I feel like it was kind of like a female empowerment movie without being a female empowerment movie
Mhm.
because it was like a lot of the time, like obviously Aisha was the one to do the kick to the balls, and I was like, fuck yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
a black
Oh
woman.
yeah,
doing a
she
kick.
pressed the fucking
She
button.
was the one. She was
Right.
like, desperate measures, and she was like, and then it
Press
was
the
like,
crotch
boom.
button.
Yeah. And I was like, yes. I was like, yes. And that's
Under
something
glass.
you don't.
Can we just appreciate the
Absolutely.
fact that in this world, in this timeline of Power Rangers, there's a fucking button just to knee someone in the nuts?
You never know.
It's an emergency button of all things. So what if you were like, systems are failing. The systems are failing. We're heading towards the sun. What are we gonna do? Eject.
Yeah.
What happened? I don't
Nothing.
I don't know. Did it just knee? Nothing? Oh, no.
It tried to knee the sun. That's what happened.
Desperate
Glad the
Rangers.
graphic came through at the right time. Just what a
Did
coincidence.
any of you like look at the Megazord in the movie and look at your toy Megazord in hand and it was like,
Yeah.
This doesn't match.
"Wait."
One of
They're
these
so
things is not
metallic
like
in the
other.
movie. They're so shiny.
Yeah.
I can't tell what it is. And I noticed, I know we don't have much time left, but I noticed that there was a few effects where they threw like a model through buildings.
Yeah.
And it wasn't
Yeah.
CG. And I'm like, okay, so they could have built a suit. Like, yeah. I'm like, oh man, I want to see the stunt thing they threw.
Actually, that model is the toy. Ninja Mega Falcon Megazord you can get at Toys R Us right now.
Oh,
For
is it
only-
true that they also used the Morpher toy in the show because they were made so well?
Sometimes.
Because the
Sometimes.
toy it looked amazing. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
looked like a prop.
Yep.
For the Sentai footage, it definitely
I have
fucking
it.
was not the toy.
Uh-oh. He's getting something.
Have the Morpher, the White Ranger Morpher.
My excuse is I just moved and my toy is in the boxes. You're cool.
Oh my
It's on the
god.
wrong side. Flip your morpher.
Oh, like this way?
There
What?
you go. That was it. Yeah, that way.
This way, right?
No, the other way.
Oh, what if I morph upside down? What happens? Well, now the thing's
Uh,
upside down, right?
If you morph upside down, the explosion's
become
upside
the
down.
dead ranger. You become the dead ranger.
Oh,
Actually,
Power Rangers RPM answered that question.
if you morph the morpher upside down, your explosion behind you is upside down.
oh, okay.
It's in the earth. That's what happens.
Can I ask? Sorry, go on. I had a really like fan technical question. I don't know. I was just gonna ask it. Do you guys like the design that some fans made of the Green Ranger with the silver? Have you noticed that? Have you seen that in some redesigns of the Green Ranger?
They give him the silver fin.
Yeah,
and the silver.
kind of like
that wasn't a fan design. That happened in show.
It happened in show.
Dino Thunder episode
Oh, okay. I'm not as mad about it. then.
something.
If it's canon, then I'm not. But I like the original better. But I thought it was like some fan decided, and now we just are cool with it. I'm like, no, we're not cool with it. Excuse me.
Dino Thunder episode Fighting Spirit. Tommy has like a what's it called? Like an inner fight within himself between his three powers. And for some reason, the Green Ranger power had the silver stripe for some reason. No one knew why, but they just kept it and became an action figure.
It's a mystery. The world will never know.
Okay,
Anyways,
I
friends,
like
we are at the end of our freaking stream. I know we could probably talk about this for another 2 hours, and I
can.
probably could. I know, wait, Jefferson, I can.
Part 2.
Right, or all the above. But this all the time we have to talk about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. I'd like to thank my wonderful and awesome and amazing guests as always, Robert, Jefferson, and Kenji. It is always amazing to do a wonderful review with you gentlemen. But I just want to let everybody know, where can we find you all? Robert, let's start with you. Where can we find you on the socials or in the world?
You can find me at Twitter, Instagram. My handle is my name, Robert Dunne. It's Robert Dunne, ITS, and then my name, DUNNE. I kind of use that for everything. So if you use that, you'll find me on all the stuff.
We love it. Jefferson, where can we find you? Go.
Oh,
You
shit.
can find me online on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube as Jeffersaurus with a W.
Yeah,
Love it. And Kenji, where can we find you?
You'll find me as Kenjinator, KenjiNator. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok. You'll find me on Twitch as the Kenjinator. And yeah.
Everybody, please follow these young gentlemen. I follow all of them, and they're awesome, and they give me hope and inspiration. You can find me on Instagram, CityOfStars13. I'm not doing anything nerdy on it yet, but I'm hoping to rebrand my platform so I can be nerdy and be awesome and do all sorts of stuff. So,
We'll be nerdy
yeah.
one day.
Yeah, we'll make it. We'll make
We'll
it.
do it one day.
Cheer up, Charlie. And don't forget, if you missed tonight's you missed tonight's stream, it's available in podcast form anywhere that you get your podcast. So also remember that. Please subscribe to our YouTube and Twitch. All of our platforms everywhere, everything everywhere all at once is at Nom Talk Network. I would like to shout out our wonderful and amazing producer Stephanie for being awesome, for being amazing, for doing your job even when you're sick. We love you. You're beautiful. You're all of the Rangers put into one. So that's saying a lot. You are
Brownish, dark, weird color.
You are the Zord. That's all I'm saying. So tune in to our next show, which is going to be Basic Binges, Mrs. Marvel episode 4, which is going to go on tomorrow. So please tune in. If you've been watching, please watch. I still need to catch up and watch. So I will go ahead and do that. But until then, I'm your host, Jordyn Orozco, and I hope you all have a nomorific evening. Good night, y'all. See ya.
See ya.